half the same. They all have describes the same things that have not been made public knowledge, and they don't know each other. And these are people from all around the world. One of the best abductee researchers that I know is here in this room with us, Robin Coyle. One of the implants is inserted up through the nose and is lodged next to the optic nerve in this region. Another implant is inserted beneath the skull cap next to the medulla oblongata in this region. Another implant is found subcutaneously behind usually the right ear and can be seen and felt. I always like to watch everybody feel behind their right ear when I say that. Implants have been found in the wrist, in the calf, and in the lower arm. Next slide. Now, this is very strange because just before these began happening and after we began finding these implants, we began noticing newspaper articles like this. Computer chip implants can help find lost pets, and it goes to outline how this happens. And it tells us that the sheriff's department and the police department in the cities are given electronic equipment to communicate with a satellite that the government has put up. And if you put an implant in your pets, this satellite can find your pet wherever it is when it's lost, and your local law enforcement people, by tuning into this satellite with their electronic equipment, can tell you where your pet is and go get it. Then, next slide, please. Then you hear Dan Rather on the 6 o'clock news say that the pet implant program has worked so well that 97% of all lost pets that have been implanted are being found and returned to their owners, that you should have your children implanted. He said this in 1989. Then you see in the Los Angeles Times, not the National Enquirer, ladies and gentlemen, the Los Angeles Times on 12/12/89, forecasts 10 changes for the coming decade. And one of those 10 changes, number 4 in fact, will become necessary in the future with the availability and widespread use of electrical and chemical implants that will allow 24-hour-a-day control of individuals' behavior. Now, are you beginning to get interested in the abductee experience? I hope that you are. You might be next. Next slide. This is just a letter to me from another researcher. Next slide. Who sent me this? It's in my book. It's the Foreign Broadcast Information Service, Foreign Press Note. The Foreign Broadcast Information Service is a division of the Central Intelligence Agency, which monitors foreign broadcasts on radio, television, military, civilian broadcast waves, and gleans information. This entire report, each paragraph, is a separate report of flying saucer or UFO reports in the Soviet Union during the period covered by this report, and this report was issued 22 November 1989. You never heard of any. Every paragraph. One of these paragraphs refers to a crashed craft on a hill from which they recovered pieces of technology that we're not capable of manufacturing. Next page, please. All of these. Now you see at the top is what they found up here. You look closer so I can read it. Some of the scientists have concluded that the object that crashed into Hill 611 was an extraterrestrial space vehicle constructed by highly intelligent beings. Doctor of Chemical Sciences V. Vysotsky, it's a good thing I'm not Russian, I couldn't talk, stated that without doubt this is evidence of a high technology and it is not anything of a natural or terrestrial origin. He cited the fact that the remnants of fine mesh included bits of thin threads with a diameter of only 17 microns, and that these threads in turn were composed of even thinner strands twisted into braids. Extremely thin gold wires were discovered intertwined in the finest threads, evidence of an intricate technology beyond the present capabilities of terrestrial science, according to this man that I can't pronounce his name. Next slide, please. And it continues. Next. Next. And I was marking some of the locations. There's a mark on here somewhere. Right here. There's one of the locations, one of the reports. Next slide. These are some of the others. I didn't mark every one of them, but I marked the important ones in the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics. Next slide, please. This is the first known civilian photograph of a UFO. Next slide. This is a letter, the Gerald Light letter. This letter is absolutely astounding. It confirms everything that I've been saying. Nobody knew that this letter even existed until Bob Exler presented it at the 1989 MUFON Symposium in Las Vegas. He presented this on July the 1st. I had already issued my information that this confirms on May the 23rd of the same year. In here, he says, "My dear friend, I've just returned from Muroc." Remember I told you Muroc is Edwards Air Force Base now. "The report is true, devastatingly true. I made the journey in company with Franklin Allen of the Hearst Papers and Edwin Norris of Brookings Institute, Truman's erstwhile financial advisor, and Bishop McIntyre of L.A. Confidential names for the present, please. When we were allowed to enter the restricted section after about 6 hours, in which we were checked on every possible item, event, incident, and aspect of our personal and public lives, I had the distinct feeling that the world had come to an end with fantastic realism. For I have never seen so many human beings in a state of complete collapse and confusion as they realized that their own world had indeed ended with such finality as to beggar description." Can you get the sense of what this guy had gone through? The reality of other plane aeroforms is now and forever removed from the realms of speculation and made a rather painful part of the consciousness of every responsible scientific and political group. During my 2 days visit, I saw 5 separate and distinct types of aircraft being studied and handled by our Air Force officials with the assistance and permission of the Etherians. Notice he calls them Etherians, which means that he attaches some spiritual significance to them. And notice also that he capitalizes Etherians, signifying that he may have viewed them as gods. I have no words to express my reactions. It has finally happened. It is now a matter of history. President Eisenhower, as you may already know, was spirited over to Muroc one night during his visit to Palm Springs recently. And it is my conviction that he will ignore the terrible conflict between the various authorities and go directly to the public via radio and television if the impasse continues much longer. Well, we know that he didn't do that. And it goes on. We don't have time to read it all. It's in my book in the appendix. Those of you who get the book, you can read it at your leisure. Next. This is the second page. Next. This is Bishop McIntyre. Next. There's old Ike. Remember the slogan, "We like Ike"? Ike started this crap. Next. There he is again. Remember what Ike said to us when he left office? Does anybody remember that? He tried to warn the American people against a group, a powerful group within the defense industrial complex, which might seize unwarranted power and destroy this country. And nobody listened to him. Next. I think he would have said a lot more, but he didn't want to die. Was this one of the little guys he met? Or is this for our entertainment? Next. Is this one of the little guys? Now, this is a very well-known photo that's been leaked out to the public. It's been thoroughly debunked by everybody in the world, but it's never been proven false. Never been proven to be a fraud. Nobody knows where it came from.